Well, it's been a hot minute since we've heard from this band, and whenever this band puts out something new, I always get excited. And sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it's not. Let's find out which one this is. Urskog by Kaipa. I think it's Kaipa. I'm bad with pronunciations. Anyway, Kaipa is a Swedish symphonic retro prog outfit, but I always kind of put a little asterisk against this particular outfit because they actually got their start in the mid 70s. So to call them retro prog is weird. I mean, they put out 3 albums in the 70s, which were great, 2 albums in the 80s, which were not, and then came back 20 years later with Notes from the Past. And since then, they've put out 9 albums, this one being their 9th, in this current iteration of progressive rock. And each of their albums have been very hit or miss. And I mean, when they hit hard. Notes from the Past, In the Wake of Evolution, brilliant masterpieces of music. I friggin' love both of these albums. And then each album after and before this have like 1 or 2 tracks on the albums that like really get me excited, but the overall album leaves me wanting more. With such a spotty back catalog, how does Urskog compare? And without burying the lead too much, it's a little bit more of the same. What I will say is that because of the length of time between Children of the Sound and now, which is the longest stretch we've had since their first comeback album of Notes from the Past, it allows them to stretch their legs a little bit, try a few different things. We have a new drummer of Darby Todd, and Darby does a great job commanding the beats. I mean, if you close your eyes and not think about it, his drumming style is extremely similar to the drumming style of Morgan Argan, who was the original drummer. Jonas Ringgold, again on bass, one of my favorite working bassists currently, unfortunately is still lost in the shuffle, which is kind of what I felt when I was listening to Children of the Sound. I just didn't really feel as though he was all that there. Like, the band was using him to such a brilliant extent on In the Wake of Evolution and Notes from the Past. I just didn't feel him all that present on here. Now, the 2 vocalists of Patrick Lutstrom and Alina Gibson, as well as Hans Luden, but he's more of like a backup, their 2 singing styles, again, just brilliant. I mean, they're getting on in age, and it doesn't show in their voices at all. They're very much maturing in that sense. They know where their limitations are, and they're playing well within it. And I'm loving how they kind of pass the baton back and forth between one another very, very well. The keyboards of Hans Luden, again, very great. I love some of the bigger soundscapes that they're bringing on here, but like no passage really makes me all that excited. And the guitars, the guitars of Per Nielsen, they're great. They're fine. It is what it is. I do feel as though like the overall playing structure and playing style of the band is a little bit lacking, just a hair. I just didn't feel all that well invested in a lot of those. Now, what I will say is I do like the overall concept of this album, and I do like some of the themes that we found on here. The first and last track really do open and close this album very, very well, to a little bit of an extent. The Frozen Dead of the Night being the first track at almost 19 minutes, a big track that we have on here, really does showcase the renewal of energy, the waking up after a long sleep. It is essentially the transition from winter into spring. And I do really enjoy and really connect with this mythos. And I love how it does kind of have those moments of the deep winter, not knowing when things are going to end, wondering when that next transition is going to happen, wondering how we're going to get through all this. And then finally, that renewal breath of life, the coming into our own, this new style that we've had. I do think they probably could have shaved off about 8 minutes of this track, and they probably would have had about the same amount of good material found within it. I think 18 minutes is a lot of an investment without a big crescendo or without really a reason to be this long. And the last track of the Bitter Setting Sun, the second longest track at about 15 and a half minutes, it does finally have that transition from the summer into fall where things are starting to wind down again. Things are starting to close off. All that energy that we once had is slowly being sapped away into something else. You know, it's a transitional period. And I do appreciate how this album is able to tackle that kind of a concept. Both of these tracks I really do enjoy listening to when I'm on like a little bit of a nature walk. You know, I'm getting connected with nature and the earth again. I'm, you know, enthralled with the trees and the rocks and the rivers, and I'm really getting into the style of the music in that sense. The other tracks are pretty serviceable, you know, in a world of pines. Again, you're on a walk and you're seeing the trees. The trees are livening up again. And this is really where Alina is able to command her voice. Like, her singing styles is brilliant. And I do appreciate near the midpoint, we do have a little bit of this playing styles between the guitars and the keyboards. That's fun, you know, it's very similar Kaipa music, but I don't feel as though there's anything really standoutish about that at all. And then we come to the title track, the third track of Urskog, and it's fine, you know, it's all right. It takes its time to get itself up and building, and I do enjoy more of the quirky aspects near the midpoint of this track. That's really one of the things that I do appreciate and enjoy about Kaipa, is they're able to blend these quirky, very fun, very fast-paced styles of music in with, you know, this very symphonic style of expression. I just wish that they kind of did something with it that led to something a little bit more exciting than what we got. So then we come to probably my favorite track off the album, which is Wilderness Excursion, and I like the blending styles of that rhythm section, and it's one of the few times where Jonas Ringgold's really able to let loose on the bass guitar. Like, his rhythm sections, whenever my man is able to showcase and shine, he steps up to the plate and knocks it out. And one of the things that I really do like about the Wilderness Excursion is some of the darker moments we have on here. You know, it's got a lot more minor keys, which is something that Kaipa doesn't do a whole lot of. They're much more a celebration of sound, celebration of music. And I like that they're kind of dipping their toe into something a little bit darker, a little bit more menacing. And I appreciate that. I like when they try something new. The same can't really be said of In the Wilderness of My Mind, which again is basically just treading water Kaipa. I just feel like all the music that's found on In the Wilderness of My Mind is music that we would have heard elsewhere on this album or even elsewhere in their past discography. It does feel as though like a computer bot had devoured all of Kaipa's music and just kind of said, yeah, here's the next one, without really giving too much of a mind or reason for it. So yeah, in the end, I was a little bit disappointed with Urskog from Kaipa. I mean, I wish I could say that I was more disappointed, but after their track record from In the Wake of Evolution, with the albums being fine, but nothing really to write home about, this is just another one where it's fine, but nothing really to write home about. The music is fun, the music is lively, the music is very bright and colorful, but it's nothing that we haven't heard before from Kaipa. So it's for that reason that I have to say that Urskog from Kaipa is still one that I would stream. Like, there's enough on here to enjoy, and if you're a fan of the band, you won't necessarily be disappointed. Like, it's not like it's going to be like, what the heck is it? It's just safe. You know, it's a safe album for a time when, in some cases, safe music is what we need. But for me, that's looking for a little bit more, I don't know, risk, a little bit more excitement, a little bit more something I haven't heard before. I was let down. But I can't say I didn't see it coming. So there you go. That's what I've got for Urskog from Kaipa. What did you guys think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know. Oh, trying to talk through a burp again. Please let me know by commenting down below. And that's all I got for you. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.